The screaming doesn't stop. It echoes against the walls of the nursery, sharp, breathy, and desperate. You shift your weight, bouncing gently, shushing softly, doing everything the books tell you to do. But the arching back, the tightly shut eyes, the red, flushed face, they are a clear, undeniable physical protest. Then the door opens. The other parent walks into the room, reaches out their arms, and the transfer happens. Within 3 seconds, the crying ceases. The rigid little body softens. The breath catches, stutters, and then settles into absolute quiet. If you are the one left standing there with empty arms, the sting is immediate and suffocating. A cold, quiet whisper in your mind that says, "They don't want me." If you are the one holding the now sleeping baby, the relief is instantly swallowed by a crushing, heavy exhaustion, a terrifying realization that you are the only one who works, the sole pillar holding up this tiny, fragile universe. Both of these experiences are real. Both carry a weight that nobody prepares you for in the parenting classes. But what if this agonizing dynamic has absolutely nothing to do with love? What if the devastating rejection you feel, or the suffocating entrapment you fear, is actually a biological equation we have completely misunderstood? The hidden truth behind why your baby chooses one of you over the other is buried in the deepest architecture of their nervous system. And once you see the blueprint, everything changes. 1. Preference is not an emotional verdict. It is a biological compass. The first thing we must dismantle, the absolute first myth we have to tear down, is the idea that a baby's preference is a measure of affection. Love, as we understand it, a complex reciprocal emotion based on character, shared history, and mutual appreciation, does not exist in an infant's brain. Not yet. What exists instead is a ruthless, beautiful, primal drive for survival. When a baby consistently reaches for one person, when they bury their face in a specific shoulder and refuse to look at anyone else, we project our complex adult insecurities onto that action. We think it's a popularity contest. We think it is an evaluation of our worth as a parent. It is not. It is data. In the first 12 months of life, your baby's brain is doing something profound and deeply exhausting. It is mapping the world through constant, overwhelming sensory input. It is laying down billions of neural pathways that will dictate how they regulate stress, how they perceive danger, and how they experience safety for the rest of their natural lives. Developmental psychologists refer to this as building an internal working model. This model isn't built with words or abstract thoughts or logic. It is built from accumulated micro-moments, a specific scent, the exact cadence of a voice, the particular rhythm of a heartbeat heard from the inside of the chest versus the outside. When a baby shows a strong preference, they are not saying, "I love you more." They are saying, "My neural map of you is the most vividly detailed." They are reaching for the person whose internal representation is most deeply encoded in their nervous system. John Bowlby, the pioneer of attachment theory, discovered that infants are biologically wired to form a hierarchy of attachment figures. Notice the word hierarchy, not equality. A baby's brain does not strive for democracy in its relationships. It demands a primary regulator. The person at the top of this hierarchy is simply the one whose physiological presence most reliably shuts down the baby's autonomic stress response. They are the magnetic north. The baby reaches for them not because the other directions are flawed, not because the other parent is inadequate, but because the magnetic pull of familiarity is undeniable. What this means is that preference is a sign of a working system. It is a feature of healthy neurobiology, not a flaw in your parenting. It means the infant brain is correctly identifying its primary source of physiological safety. 2. The sensory economy and the invisible language of co-regulation. To truly understand why a baby settles instantly with one parent and struggles violently with the other, we have to drop beneath the level of conscious behavior. We have to look at the nervous system. Specifically, we have to look at the vagus nerve. The vagus nerve is the superhighway of the parasympathetic nervous system, the part of our biology responsible for resting, digesting, and calming down after a threat. When a baby is born, their vagus nerve is incredibly immature. They are entirely incapable of self-regulation. If they feel cold, if they feel a hunger pang, or if they are simply startled by a sudden shadow, their physiological arousal spikes into the red zone, and they cannot bring it back down alone. They require a borrowed nervous system. This process is called co-regulation. The preferred parent has typically established a deeply grooved, highly efficient pathway of co-regulation. This doesn't just happen because they spend more time with the baby. Though time is absolutely a factor, it happens through intense physiological synchrony. Modern research on biobehavioral synchrony shows that when a primary caregiver and an infant interact, their biological rhythms literally align. Their heart rates synchronize. Their oxytocin levels peak at the exact same millisecond. The baby is literally syncing their biology to the adult's biology. If you are the preferred parent, your baby knows the specific microscopic tensions in your muscles. They know the exact olfactory signature of your skin, a scent that immediately signals absolute, unwavering safety. When they are placed in your arms, their nervous system recognizes the environment instantly. It is an autonomic sigh of relief. This feeling of safety is not remembered but felt. It is encoded directly into the tissues of the body. If you are the non-preferred parent, it is incredibly easy to take this personally. You try the exact same bouncing rhythm. You sing the exact same lullaby at the exact same volume. Why doesn't it work? Because the baby's brain is a highly tuned, highly specific instrument. It notices that the pitch of your hum is slightly deeper. It registers that the broadness of your chest alters the angle of their neck by 2 degrees. It feels that your heart beats at a different baseline rhythm. To an overwhelmed, overstimulated infant brain, these tiny discrepancies are jarring. They are expecting the familiar map, and they are handed a different one. It takes immense cognitive energy for a baby to adjust to a new regulatory style. When they are already tired, or hungry, or upset, they simply do not have that cognitive energy to spare. They protest. They arch away. They demand the path of least resistance because their survival instincts tell them to seek the fastest route to safety. 3. The myth of interchangeable parents and the burden of the primary anchor. There is a profound cultural pressure right now to view parenting as a perfectly split, identical 50-50 endeavor. We desperately want to believe that 2 parents can be entirely interchangeable in the eyes of a child. We want this to be true because it would alleviate the suffocating, relentless pressure on the preferred parent, and it would cure the painful, isolating alienation of the non-preferred parent. But biology does not care about our modern, equitable ideals. Neurologically speaking, a baby does not want 2 interchangeable parents. That would be neurologically inefficient. A baby's brain is designed to specialize its attachments to conserve energy. If you are the preferred parent, this explains the bone-deep, soul-crushing exhaustion you carry, the feeling of being touched out, needed out, completely and utterly depleted by the end of the day. You are operating as an external organ for another human being. You are their secondary immune system, their emotional thermostat, their primary biological anchor. When they are sick, when they are teething, when the lights in the grocery store are simply too bright, they will bypass everyone else in the room and demand you. This is real. The weight of it is staggering. There is a complicated mix of feeling chosen, feeling essential, and feeling entirely trapped. You might catch yourself resenting your partner. You might watch them try to soothe the crying baby, fail after 2 minutes, and hand the baby back to you with an apologetic, helpless shrug. In those moments, the isolation is profound. You feel trapped in your own indispensability. But it is crucial, absolutely vital, to reframe this narrative. You are not trapped. You are serving a biological imperative. Your baby is using your nervous system to build the blueprint for how they will soothe themselves 20 years from now. Every single time you absorb their panic and return it to them as calm, you are laying down a brick in the foundation of their future mental health. Every time you sacrifice your own comfort to regulate their spiking heart rate, you are physically building their resilience. It is grueling, invisible, thankless work, but it is the most important work happening in the world right now. 4. The architecture of exploration and the hidden power of the second parent. If the preferred parent is the primary anchor, what is the point of the non-preferred parent? If you are the one constantly being pushed away, you might start to feel like an understudy, a glorified assistant who is only there to change diapers when the baby is in a good mood. You might step back, assuming you are just making things worse when you try to intervene in a meltdown. This is the absolute most dangerous trap a non-preferred parent can fall into. Because while the primary attachment figure builds the architecture of safety, the secondary attachment figure builds the architecture of exploration. When a baby is securely anchored to their preferred parent, they eventually realize they will not die if they leave that anchor, And when they look out into the broader world, they look to the other parent. Research shows that secondary caregivers tend to interact with infants fundamentally differently. They engage in more stimulating, unpredictable, slightly chaotic play. They toss the baby in the air. They use louder voices. They introduce slightly higher levels of arousal. This is not an accident. This is not you doing it wrong. This is the other half of the developmental equation. If the preferred parent teaches the baby, you are safe. The non-preferred parent teaches the baby, you are capable. You are the bridge to the outside world. When your baby pushes away from you when they are tired or scared, they are not rejecting your worth as a human being or as a parent. They are simply saying, you are my playmate, my explorer, my boundary pusher, but right now I need my safe harbor. What this means is that your role is not lesser. It is simply different, and it is a role that becomes exponentially more visible and exponentially more critical as the child grows. The toddlers who boldly climb the playground equipment, who eagerly explore new environments without looking back every 2 seconds, do so because they have integrated both lessons. They know exactly how to return to the anchor, and they know exactly how to follow the explorer. Your baby's brain needs the friction of your differences. They need to learn that comfort can look like a different face, sound like a different voice, and feel like a different embrace. Every time you stay calm in the face of their protest, every single time you hold them through their frustration at not getting the preferred parent, you are expanding their emotional window of tolerance. You are teaching them that they can survive discomfort. You are building resilience. 5. The impermanence of the magnetic pole and the long game of love. The final truth about baby preference is the one that is hardest to believe when you are in the thick of it. It changes. The infant brain is a highly plastic, constantly evolving organ. The hierarchy of attachment is not written in stone. It is written in wet clay. As the child's developmental needs shift, as their brain grows and their understanding of the world expands, so too will their preferences. Around the age of 18 months to 2 years, a profound cognitive leap occurs. The child begins to individuate. They realize they are a completely separate entity from the primary caregiver. And in this explosive phase of asserting independence, the magnetic pole often violently, suddenly reverses. Suddenly, the preferred parent is pushed away. The anchor is no longer needed. The explorer is demanded. The non-preferred parent suddenly finds themselves the center of the toddler's universe, demanded for every bedtime story, every meal, every comforting hug. The parent who spent 18 months being the sole source of regulation is suddenly completely cast aside, experiencing their own sudden whiplash of rejection. This shifting tide is normal. It is healthy. It means the child has internalized the safety of the primary caregiver so completely, so totally, that they no longer need to constantly check it. They take that safety for granted. And while that feels like a demotion, it is actually the ultimate psychological compliment. Whether you are currently the sun in your baby's sky, burning out from the constant orbit of their needs, or the distant planet waiting patiently in the dark, understand this. The dynamic right now is just a single fleeting chapter in a lifelong novel. Your baby does not hate you. Your baby is not trying to manipulate you. Your baby is not trying to trap you in a life of servitude. Your baby is simply navigating an overwhelming, terrifyingly large world using the only tools biology gave them. You love this baby completely, and something in how they respond to you makes you wonder. In the quiet moments at 3 a.m., if they know that. They do. The love you pour into them, the patience you summon when you are running on empty, whether it is met with immediate quiet or continued crying, is never lost. It is stored. It is built into the marrow of who they are becoming. It is weaving the very fabric of their future identity. It is not remembered, but felt. Keep showing up. Keep holding the space. Keep breathing through the rejection and the exhaustion, because the math of love, biological and emotional, always balances out in the end.